What's up, guys? Ben Pollack here. I just got back from an awesome session with VitaDrip IV, getting a little hydration in before my workout. And I wanted to talk, before I do go do that workout, about my strategy for the diet while I'm starting to prep for the US Open. Now, the US Open is a long way away, right? It's not until next April, the end of next April. So it's a good 7, almost 8 months away. And I have a lot of time. But I also want to move up, fill out the 198 class by the time I get there. And for a lot of y'all, it might seem, because I walk around over 198, that I'm already there. But because I am really good at cutting weight, and because I do take advantage of things like IV therapy to manipulate my body weight and to manipulate my hydration, I'm actually really, really good at cutting weight. And so I'm actually able to weigh easily 220 plus, walk around at 220 plus, and still make the 198s. So getting from where I am now, which is about 205, up to 220, even in 7 or 8 months, for me is a big ask. If you've read my Elite FTS logs up until this point, you know that, hey, I'm not taking a crazy approach, right? I'm not going over the top bulking, which some people do, and I'm not just doing this reverse dieting shit where, I'm gaining half a pound every other week or something like that. I'm trying to take kind of a middle-of-the-road approach, and that's what I want to talk about today, is how I kind of figure out what is that middle of the road and how do I stick to it. So when I'm talking about ideal diet, for me, that's all about performance. And when it comes to performance, what really matters is how good I feel, right? Even more so than the number on the scale. It's do I feel pretty much like I'm fully recovered between sessions? Do I feel like I'm not overly bloated and not fat and sluggish all the time? Do I feel like my belt fits right? Do I feel like the bottom position of my squat and deadlift are comfortable? Those are the types of things that I'm going for. And that's really why I'm shooting for the middle of the road approach. If you don't eat enough, you're feeling fatigued all the time. You eat too much, you're feeling bloated and sluggish. So the tricky part is really finding that middle of the road, and it doesn't seem like it would be that difficult, but really it can be really, really hard. So the approach that I go to, and it might sound a little bit silly at first, but I actually add a lot of vegetables to my diet. This does two things. First, if you're eating a lot of vegetables, you are adding a fairly decent amount of calories, a few hundred calories a day, depending on whether you're choosing starchy or fibrous ones. And I try and get a mix myself for both variety and for health reasons. But besides those few hundred calories that you're adding to your diet, you're also increasing the food volume. Now, this is something that I go into in quite a bit of detail with my clients, my athletes, when we're working on cutting weight for a competition. But by increasing food volume, you're both increasing your ability to eat more, and you're increasing over time, you're increasing your ability to feel okay eating that increased amount of foods. Now, it's really, really important that we're talking about good food volume, right? We're talking about things like fruits and vegetables and whole grains and lean proteins, things that have fairly high fiber content, things that are going to work well with your digestive system, not shit like McDonald's or pizza or whatever else the case may be. Those things in general, for if you follow a pretty clean diet year round, they're just going to make you feel like crap, even in fairly small amounts. And so that's why I try to stick with those clean foods. Now, I don't want to mislead you guys. Like, I eat super, super clean all the time, but sometimes I do have cheat meals. I try to schedule one a week, both for recovery purposes and for a mental break purpose. But when I do those cheat meals, I'm not eating different foods. Like, maybe I'll have a little bit of cereal, right? But for the most part, I'm eating the same foods, just more of them, so that I'm increasing my calories. I follow a high carb diet most of the time anyway. So I'm increasing my calories, I'm getting more carbs in, but I'm still feeling good because I'm still eating the same types of foods. And I'm not going so far overboard that I just go into a food coma. Now, I'm not gonna lie to you, occasionally I do that. Usually it's like eating my feelings after a bad workout, right? Like, it happens sometimes, and I think that's just part of being human. But for the most part, I think it's really important to use cheat meals as tools, not as crutches, okay? That's the big distinction there, and I'm going to put a link in the description below about how I do that. It's to an article on Barbend. And I'm also going to put a link to some more diet strategies that I use that I think can be really, really effective. So far we've touched on two things, right? We've touched on increasing food volume of good foods, right? Like healthy foods. And we've touched on using cheat meals as tools, not as crutches. The big thing that we have left to tackle is, okay, how do we increase our calories over time besides that additional food volume, and how do we determine what type of macro setup is right for us, right? Okay, so when it comes to increasing calories over time, I think this can be very, very simple and straightforward. I think that a 10% increase every week until you hit your goal weight is perfectly fine. If you're gaining weight each week, you might not need that increase, right? So let's say you go up 10%, you gain a pound the first week. Okay, that's cool. You can stay there. You gain a pound the next week, you stay there. The third week, you don't gain anything. You go up another 10%. That's all you need. You don't have to make it more complicated than that. Don't worry about this reverse dieting, adding 50 calories a day or some bullshit like that. That's just going to leave you feeling deprived forever. And don't worry about going overboard and trying to add 10 pounds a week. If that's anything other than glycogen, it's just going to be fat, right? So there's no point in taking one of those super hardcore approaches unless you're either on a shit ton of drugs or you've got some type of mental disorder when it comes to eating, which I recognize is a real problem for some people, and I'm not discounting that at all. If you really struggle with body image issues and you think reverse dieting is the way for you to deal with that in a healthy way, go for it. I'm not against that. And if you think that you want to take a ton of drugs because it's fun to you, go for it. It's your body, it's your life. I strongly believe in that, but it's not my approach, and I don't think it's the best approach in terms of performance. So that's increasing calories. When it comes to macros, right, and this is kind of the last big thing, and we're only touching on big things today. I'll do a more detailed write-up later, but when it comes to when it comes to choosing your macros, I think you want to have a protein base. For me, that's 1.25 grams of protein per pound of body weight. I know the studies say blah, 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 you want 0.8 or 1 or something like that. I found 1.25 to be really, really effective. I only count proteins from foods that are actually protein, right? So like, yes, my oatmeal has a couple grams of protein in the morning. I don't bother counting that. I would go insane if I tried to track my macros that closely, right? I'm more concerned about, okay, I'm eating 3 ounces of chicken. That's 30 grams of protein, more or less. That way it's very easy to follow, easy to count your macros, and you don't have to be anal retentive about it. I'm anal retentive enough in my own life that I don't need to add more by tracking my diet that closely. And I don't think it's necessary if you're eating clean foods like we mentioned earlier. So that's your protein base. From there, you should know more or less how many calories you need in a day to grow. If you don't know that, you need to do a food log, and just write down everything you eat for a week and figure out what your average weekly calorie intake is. But when you're trying to determine between carbs and fat, this can be really controversial. I think keep it simple. Go with what makes you feel better. That's all you have to do. For me, I feel really good on high carbs, and I feel really bad on high fat foods. I feel kind of gross. My digestive tract gets all fucked up, and my stomach's upset, and I don't like that feeling. And on carbs, I don't have that energy crash. I feel like I have good energy. I feel like I get good pumps in the gym. So I stick with pretty high carbs, and I have the majority of my remaining calories after protein I have from carbs, and I added a little bit of fats. And if you're the other way, if you respond really well to fats, have the majority of your extra calories from fats and have a little bit of carbs, because I think that, except in certain circumstances, you don't want to go completely without any one macro. Okay? So those are the big 4 tips that I have for you guys. I know they're very broad, but really I think that it's so easy with all this stuff to lose the forest for the trees, right? You can't get so specific that you forget about the big picture. And I think that if you follow those pretty simple, pretty big picture rules, you're going to have really good results as long as you're training hard. Training hard is so, so important. I can't emphasize that enough. I think training hard will cover up for 99% of the mistakes you make in the gym, as long as you're also doing it safely. So sorry for the spiel. I know this has kind of been a long one. I hope it was helpful. If it was not specific enough, please let me know in the comments below. Please let me know what you would like to see addressed in more detail, and I'll do a write-up on phdeadlift.com that will take care of those things for you. Okay? Thanks for watching, and I will see you all next time.